Carolyn at this very important session on important financial decisions at release, and Carolyn is from SISIP. She's going to tell you more about herself. But we're so appreciative. Here, Carolyn, here's the ball. We're so appreciative of your expertise and that you're sharing it with us. Now, just as a reminder that during this session, Carolyn will take general questions at appropriate times. If you put them in the chat, I can monitor the chat. And we encourage you to bring your personal questions to a SISIP financial planner that you would have to register with the financial planner and then become their client if you wanted more information from them. So without further ado, I'm going to ask you to change the slides, Carolyn. And we're good to go.
All right, so can everyone hear me?
Yes. Give us a green check if you can hear Carolyn. Great, great. And Michelle, can you hear Carolyn? Yeah, so everybody can hear you, no problem. And before we get started, I just want to share with you, can you just write in the chat where you're from so that I can know that you know how to use the chat. And this is the tool that we're going to be using for any questions or comments that come up during the presentation. So if you could just write a little note in the chat to me, to all participants, Valerie, Pam, and Michelle, just, there we go. Good, got Michelle's, got Valerie's, and then I know Dave's there. Excellent. Okay, so just use the chat anytime during the presentation for any of your questions, and I'm going to be monitoring and asking Carolyn as they come up. And Carolyn, are you okay to change the slides, love?
Okay, let's just go. Yay. Okay.
Great.
So, perfect. How are we? Good to go?
We're good to go. And once you've introduced yourself, if you want to take your camera off after that, that would be great.
Okay, perfect. Okay, so hello everyone. Thanks for joining. And this is my first time through. I think probably everybody recognizes that. Thank you for your patience getting set up and getting it to a roll. So what I'm going to cover off is important financial decisions at release. And my name is Carolyn Lebrecq. I am a financial planner with SISIP Financial. And in terms of an introduction, I've worked 18 years in the financial service industry. And then I've enjoyed postings at CFB Petawawa, CFB Chilliwack, Fort Leonard Wood, Missouri, CFB Saint Hubert, Gagetown, and CFB Toronto. I've worked
You're a real military spouse.
Yeah, Army, right? So, and one posting in the States. And then 8 years with SISIP Financial. I am a certified financial planner, and I'm a member of the Canadian Institute of Financial Planners. So that's a little bit about my background. And okay, we'll get started. And I think that probably comes off. So I am part of the Canadian Forces Morale and Welfare Services. And if you can see over on the bottom right-hand side, that's us, SISIP Financial. And our other partners are on the slide. So our vision is that every member of the Canadian Armed Forces community and their family has financial health and security. In terms of the agenda, my focus will be that on a member releasing and what should I do. The first thing is to take a look at the sources of income. So that's the first thing we're going to take a look at, and we're going to go through the source of income, hit the pensions, deal with severance pay and accumulated leave, a little bit of tax planning, and then go through the investment. So that's kind of the agenda. All right. So the first thing, the sources of income. The thing that's really important, and it all starts, the heart of any financial plan is your cash flow. In terms of what that means, you have to understand where your liquid assets are. And everyone is concerned, will there be enough? You need to be able to determine the current value of your liquid assets, how much is in your bank account, and then try to estimate how much you will need when you release, when you retire. This is something that I'm often asked when I'm working with a planning client and they come into my office in terms of setting up a plan, and I'm a goal-based planner, so I will ask, you know, what do they want to do? What's their biggest concern or what's their goal when they're releasing? And quite often you hear, well, I just want to have the same lifestyle. And that for each individual is different. I have released people on a pension of $38,000. I've released people without a pension. I've released people with more of a pension. It really just is determined by how you define your own set of circumstances and your own lifestyle. There are two tools on the website. We put the web addresses. We have a budgeting tool, as well as the second one there is the FCAC website. They have calculators that will speak to, well, basically it's budgeting, but you put down all your information in the comfort of your home, and I encourage you to do like 3 months. You pull up every bank statement, every Visa statement, every little slip of paper that you can gather in the comfort of your home, and just start putting it down in terms of how much do you spend, and get a great idea of where you're at today. And then from there, it'll help you understand where you're going to and what choices you have to make.
And Carolyn, can we have these links in the after-session email?
Sure, if you help me with that, Margaret.
Fantastic. That way everybody will have access to these links.
Yeah, they're fantastic. That FCAC website is a federal government initiative that is trying to increase the financial literacy of Canadians. It's fantastic. It doesn't just speak about budgeting tools. It's a tremendous resource there. Okay, so next slide. The sources of income as you retire possibly is a Canadian Armed Forces pension. It could be immediate, could be deferred. Potentially the person isn't getting a pension, so they may have a transfer value. This other website, or sorry, it's an email address. A lot of people don't understand exactly what they're going to get, and there may have been a division because of divorce. They may not be getting to the terms of service contract, and they're not sure what their pension is going to be. And so every person can actually send for, every CF member, what their pension entitlements on release mean. And you can send off an email to that address that I have there. You're allowed to ask for one estimate per year. You can give them 2 different release dates, and it takes about 4 to 5 weeks for them to get back to you. But with the service number, the beauty of that is they know your specific circumstances, and they'll be able to give you an estimate. So I find that a really useful tool to figure out, you know, what you're going to. Other government benefits are CPP, Canadian Pension Plan, or Quebec Pension Plan, and Old Age Security. Now, if you want to familiarize yourself with that, you can go to www.servicecanada.gc.ca, or you can call. Again, you will have a sense of entitlement or not, but the people that know how much you will be able to get, if you contact them with your particulars, they'll be able to give you an idea what your income is going to be. So that's 2 really important websites to give you ideas as to how much will be coming in when you're not going to be getting paid on the 15th or 30th.
And those are websites that I've put in, those are websites that I put into the chat. So people can access them that way, as well as the after-session email.
Yeah. Okay, so those 2, and then the other thing, of course, is above and beyond that, if you have been able to tuck a little bit of money away into your personal investments, you may have RSPs, tax-free savings accounts, guaranteed investment certificates, possibly mutual funds. Some people that I release will go from their uniform to employment, part-time, full-time, casual. They're just trying to figure out, you know, how they're going to be able to provide themselves with a lifestyle. So that's the sources of income. And so once you figure out basically how much money you'll be having in retirement, that's a starting point. Now, going on to pensions specifically, okay? If you're entitled to an immediate pension, that's fantastic. We call that the golden egg, or at least I call that the golden egg, because the beauty of that is that check is going to come in. You don't have to assume any investment risk. That check will arrive, Up markets, down markets, you can count on it. You can pay bills with it. You can obtain loans with it. So it's fantastic if you get to that point. Not everyone does, and but speaking to the fact, if you do, if you've medically released with at least 10 years of service, you'll be able to get a pension. And if you have more than 20 or 25 years of service, you'll be able to get an immediate pension. And sometimes they use the word annuity, but it kind of means the same thing, the pension. If you don't get your pension immediately, the option then would be that the pension will become as a deferred pension, annuity, or possibly a transfer value. And when you're entitled to this is if you leave before the age of 50 with at least 2 years of pensionable service, or if you have less than 20 or 25 years of service. And the beauty, back to that first email, is that pension entitlements on release, if you're not sure of what you're being entitled to, once you send that email, they'll tell you. So those of you who don't qualify for an immediate pension, you will get a letter. It's a pension benefit option letter after you've released, and there'll be 4 options on that letter. You can choose a deferred annuity. You can choose an annual allowance. You could choose the transfer value, or you can transfer your CF pension contributions to the public service or to the RCMP pension. So there's some choices. There's 4 choices. You want to make sure that you make the best choice given your circumstances. And, okay, so next. Example as indicated on the paperwork. So once you release, if you are going to be entitled to the pension benefit option form, the letter, you're going to have these choices, the deferred annuity, annual allowance, or transfer value, or the 4th one. So you actually get a letter, and you can see on the slide that there is a certain amount. Like A will suggest that person would have $13,770 a year at the age of 60. Or they have a transfer value, and if you see that number, $201,080. So what I always caution the member when we look at that is that it's a huge amount. I mean, it's a 6-figure salary. Quite often members have never seen something like that. But it's really important that you sit in front of an advisor that can help you understand what that means. And the thing we compare that to is if you take over that 201, okay, can you produce the 13,770? And that's the challenge that you have. And there's all kinds of things that have to go into play, and we got to do a lot of math to see if it is a recommendation or not. And we can help you with that. And then the other thing is if you're transferring into public service or RCMP, that's also an option. So quite a few options and really important decisions that you have to consider. In this situation, the sample scenario is this person actually has a deferred pension at the age of 60 of $18,000. So they could choose that. You wouldn't have to worry about investment decisions. That would be a choice. At the age of 60, you would get that. Or they have a transfer value of $221,500. Okay? Of that, there is 2 parts. Part of that, the first part, the $162,000 has to go into a locked-in RSP. Okay? The second part, the $59,500, depending upon how much room you have in your personal RSP, you may or may not be able to put all of that into a sheltered asset. So potentially you do not have $221,500 depending upon your personal tax circumstances. So that's a really important thing to consider. What should you do with this transfer value? You know, the registered part, as I said, the 162 is tax sheltered. So if you don't even have a lick of RSP room because you've always topped up, even if you don't even have $1, you can put $162,000 into a tax sheltered registered product. But the other pieces of that puzzle depend again on your circumstances. Now, this person put in $25,000 and they had to take a portion in cash, or maybe they chose to. So that's how you have to there's quite a few things, again, that you have to figure out as to what your personal circumstances are, so that you manage the value that you're given. And I guess when I think of transfer value, it's your contributions plus the military's contributions that they're giving you, right? It's an actuarial estimate. Okay, so how do you figure out if you're supposed to take this deferred pension at the age of 60, or should I take the 6 figures of transfer value? There's a lot of decisions to make, and again, as a goal-based planner, I really have to understand your specific situation in order to make a recommendation, and that's where I guess we were chatting about, Margaret and I, in terms of giving a very specific recommendation for a member. I am working with that member as a financial planning client and specifically understanding their circumstances. And there is a letter of engagement process so that we can give that specific advice to you. And we start looking at those decisions based on your goals. The concern with a deferred pension guaranteed at your retirement age, in that situation, you're guaranteed at the age of 60, that check's coming in. Doesn't matter if it's a bad market, good market, you will get that check. The transfer value, when you accept the 6 figures, it's you that makes that investment decision and accepts all the associated risk with it. Every situation is unique. What we can do is help you with the calculations to make those right decisions if you are assigned a financial planning client. Okay. Other things to consider if you take this transfer value. When you get your transfer value letter, I don't know the number of pages, but I know that there are several, and it will go through paragraph by paragraph by paragraph, all the consequences if you choose transfer value. One thing I wanted to highlight was that if you do accept your transfer value, you are no longer eligible for your public service health care plan or the public service dental care plan. So that's really important, to consider. Health costs can be very expensive. It's not a problem if you're going to another job and someone else, or you have a spouse. But again, you want to make these decisions carefully and with experts guiding you through it, so that you understand the full consequences.
So Carolyn, if you take the whole 221 or whatever the number is, the big lump sum, then you don't have medical services anymore?
That's correct. If you accept transfer value, and again, you may not get the $221,000, even if that's your estimate, because you may not have all the room to shelter it. But if you accept transfer value, you are not allowed to have public service health care or they basically buy you out, right? Okay. And you can't. Yeah. Wow. Yeah. It's kind of on the back page, but we feel so strongly to advise to it, right? So you have to be careful if you're getting advice, and it's a lot of money to invest, that someone is helping you understand, all the consequences of accepting transfer value. And if the person is releasing medically, you just want to make sure that, you're picking up your medical costs from somewhere else, right? Or if you can't, you got to understand what's going on, right?
Thank you, Carolyn.
Okay. So the other, is there any general questions I should ask before we get into the government pensions from anybody?
If you want to raise your hand or put a question in the chat, you're welcome to do so.
No, I don't think so, right? Okay. Okay, so we'll go on to the government pensions. Canada Pension Plan and Old Age Security are the 2 government pensions applying for CPP. For the regular benefit, you can apply as early as the age of 59 and a month, and you can receive at any time between the age of 60 or 70. The maximum monthly pensions at the age of as of 2015 and at the age of 60 would be $694.38. At 65, $1,065, and if you delay getting your CPP, you could pick up $1,512.30. I encourage you to get an estimate as to what you would be entitled to based on how much you've contributed into CPP, and the website is right there. Again, with your particulars, you'll be able to get the information specific to yourselves.
Carolyn?
Yes.
Can you draw a military pension before the age of 60?
Yes. My husband released at the age of 38, and he draws a military pension. We have many, many, many people who don't work till the age of 60 and draw military pensions.
Thank you. That was one of the questions in the chat.
Oh, okay. Okay, yeah. So change in CPP. Okay, so the CPP pension is less if you take it before the age of 65. So the concept there is it's designed to draw at 65, and there's a reduction factor if you take it prior to the age of 65. And I put down the reduction factors there. The Service Canada website is fantastic, again, for general questions like, should I take my CPP early? When should I take my CPP early? It's a wealth, again, of information right at your fingertips. Okay, and if you can delay taking your pension until after 65, then it would be an increase. And I know a question is, well, should I or shouldn't I, right? And those are the kind of questions that a financial planner can help you with, because if we go back to the first slide, you have to figure out your sources of income. And if you wait, can you manage at the, prior to the age of 70? How long will you live? There's all kinds of questions that really go into the advice piece of when you should draw your CPP. Okay, so this is a really important slide in terms of what happens at 65 with the pension. Okay, so you can draw that pension, and as I say, my husband released at 38, so he's drawing a Canadian Forces pension right now, and as well as his employment. So he has a base pension, and on the pension statement that you get, it actually shows on there your bridge benefit, and you are able to draw the bridge benefit up until the age of 65. Okay, so you have your base pension, which includes the bridge benefit. So you get a certain amount every month. At the age of 65, you lose the bridge benefit. Okay, now when a person releases, they'll get their statement, they'll understand the bridge benefit, and they'll understand they may lose $700, $900, $300 off their pension, depending upon when they're released, the number of years, but that money will go. So effectively, they'll be enjoying a certain amount of income, let's just say potentially $1,000, and they get to the age of 65, and they're going to draw, let's just say $600. So the challenge is, how do you make up the $400? You're enjoying a certain lifestyle, and all of a sudden at 65, your CF pension will be less because of the clawback, the bridge benefit, the abatement. It's called all different things, but basically it's a reduction of the CF pension. Now, if you look at the right-hand side, the base pension is there, and the concept is you have an opportunity to draw Canadian pension to help. You have old age security that can help. You can have your personal assets that you've accumulated to help. But your pension does get affected at the age of 65. So that's really important. Any questions with that? No? Okay. And that's what I was talking about. The bridge benefit is shown right on the pension pay stub. They didn't always, when I first started, that that wasn't on the pay stub. I can remember a couple in my office disagreeing with the concept, because she was certain they were going to lose something, and he couldn't believe he was losing something. But it is, and it does happen to every person, and it's a different amount for every person. So you want to look out for that. So the old age security pension, you have to meet the Canadian legal status and residence requirements. The maximum benefits are $6,764. It's indexed quarterly. And this is an income-tested government benefit. So after
per year, or sorry, is that per year or forever? The $6,764
per year.
Per year. Thank you.
Yeah, per year. It's like $500 and something. Yeah, so that's a yearly amount, $6,764, and it is indexed quarterly. Now, if your taxable income was $100,000 in retirement, which would be fantastic, you would face a clawback of this old age pension, okay? They start clawing back, the government starts clawing back your eligibility for that when your taxable income is in excess of $72,809, and that's for 2015. Now, if you have a pension and you split your pension, your taxable income probably is below $72,000. So a lot of my members are not experiencing clawback to old age security. But if your pension, your taxable income and your pension completely eliminates, or your old age pension is completely clawed back and given back, if your taxable income is in excess of $117,954, right? Yeah, so that's an income-tested benefit. All right, and there's the website again that speaks to that. So the program changed depending upon your age. At one time, every Canadian would start drawing or be eligible to start drawing that at the age of 65. A couple of years ago, they changed that, and right now, you're going to be able to draw that anywhere from 65 to 67. If you're born in 1957 or earlier, you won't be affected. You'll be able to tap into that program at the age of 65 if your income is tested and you're eligible. If you're born in 1958 or later, you will be impacted as to when you'll receive it. Okay, and then you can, with this, again, you can defer it until the age of 70 and actually receive more, right? So when should you do that? Should you do that? Those are the kind of questions that a financial planner can help you with once they know your specific circumstances. Okay, so that's old age security. Okay, so we talked about the government pensions and CPP and old age security. We've talked about the CF pension. And now we're going to move on to the pension, your release package is what I usually call that. And that has two components, which I'm going to touch on, the severance pay and your accumulated leave. The severance pay, the eligible amount, what that is, it's a special one-time RSP limit. You can transfer actually up to $2,000 per year for every pre-1996 service, CF service into an RSP. So it doesn't matter if you have topped up your RSPs and you don't have $1 of RSP room, you can utilize Section 60J of the Income Tax Act, and that's what that is, and still shelter some of your severance, okay? If you don't use it in the year of release, you lose it. So if you have $18,000 through the math that you're eligible to put it into the RSP from your severance and you don't use it in the year of release, you do lose that room. And with those monies, you can only put it into your personal RSP, okay, your personal RSP. Again, we've included a website that speaks to the eligible portion of a severance payment. There are two portions of severance pay. There is the eligible, which I just spoke to, and that's captures Section 60J of the Income Tax Act. The other portion, if you have any available, can be transferred into an RSP as well. It's called the non-eligible severance pay. In order to get that part of your severance pay sheltered, you have to have your personal RSP room available. And if you don't, you can't shelter anything under this section. If you do have RSP room, however, you can put it into your personal RSP, or you could do it such that you would be contributing to your spouse's RSP. Okay, you may ask, well, when would you do which? That, again, would be based on advice you would get from a planner to determine what your exit strategy is on spending this money, and then you may or may not utilize that as a strategy. And then the other portion is you receive it as cash. So there's options, right? What is the best? Well, that really depends upon your circumstances and what your goals are, right? One thing to be careful with, if you take it as cash, I often have clients coming in and they say, well, Carolyn, you know, I'm getting about $7,500, and they told me they're going to just take off 20%. That should be good, right? The reality is, potentially it's not, because those 10, 20, 30% amounts you see on the bottom of the slide, depending upon the amounts, from 0 to 5,000, 5,000 to 15, or 15 or more, the 10, 20, and 30%, what that is all about, it's a prepayment of taxes to CRA. It is not your final tax bill if you have severance pay that you did not shelter. Depending upon your circumstances, you may end up paying 50% tax on your unsheltered severance pay. You have to sit with someone who understands tax planning to understand your full tax consequences of taking your severance pay as cash. So you have to be careful when you hear that 10, 20, 30. It potentially is just going to create tax liability. So that's severance pay and accumulated leave. In terms of tax planning, I just touched on that. There's 3 rules I always think of when I look at tax planning. Can you deduct it? Can you defer it? Pay it later? Can you divide it? All of those strategies are ways to minimize your tax bill, okay? We put a website down there as well in terms of calculations, the calculations for personal tax. That is a fantastic tool for you to play around, again, in the comfort of your home, to understand your tax circumstances with your year of release. It's something that, in terms of tax planning, I can assist as the certified financial planners with SISIP can. It's just something that we do. And, sorry, I'm going to go back one more time to the tax planning. The thing about tax planning around your severance is it's always my goal to take a look at whatever you're getting in terms of your release packaging and get as many dollars and cents left in your pockets that I can, right? And the least amount of tax you pay betters that situation. Or I guess I should say achieves that goal, right? So it's really important to view all your choices after tax, so you understand that. Okay, the last portion is the investments. And so once you've gone through all your choices and you understand the tax consequences around, and let's just say you've decided that you want to take your release packaging and you're not going to spend any of it, or you decide to spend some of it and you want to invest the other portion of it, okay? You have to make sure that you're making investment choices based on how you're going to actually need that money in the future, okay? If you are going to be needing it in a short term, then you have to make sure that you've chosen an investment that matches your liquidity for need, okay? there's 3 different assets allocation that we are actually can take a look at. Equities, or often referred to as stock. You can look at fixed income securities, sometimes called bonds. People are more familiar with that word. And then just simple cash, money market instruments, GICs, and things like that that are very liquid. So 3 assets. And the next slide, I know it's quite cumbersome, but it's a beautiful slide in that it runs from 1995 to 2014, and it talks about all the asset classes in terms of their performance. And the reason I'm showing the slide is that it proves that not one asset allocation every year wins. There will be times that equities will win over bonds, and there'll be times when bonds won over equities, right? It's really important that you understand what asset allocation you're going to come up with such that you achieve your goals, right? And to me, maximize the benefit of your release packaging, especially if you're a person that's going to be accepting transfer value and you're assuming all that investment risk, and you're going to try to provide yourself with a paycheck when you retire. You're going to try to provide yourself with an annuity, a guaranteed check coming in. You want to make sure that you've sat with someone that understands how they can capture that goal. Okay, next one. So in terms of building a portfolio, your portfolio should reflect, should reflect 4 things. You need to take a look at your investment time horizon, okay? Are you going to need some of this money in 3 years, 13 years, 33 years? That's fundamentally important when you build a portfolio. The next thing is you have to consider your own investment knowledge and experience, okay? Your goals and objectives is very, very important. Once you define your goals and objectives, it allows you to choose a portfolio that will help you accomplish that. And the last piece is your risk tolerance. The market's guaranteed to do 2 things. It will go up and it will go down, right? And it's really important that you can tolerate the risk in a down market such that you can enjoy the up market, okay? And if we look at the cycle, and I guess timely now given the way the markets are, it's important not to let your emotions be your guide. If we look at the cycle of market emotions, most people tend to like to invest when everything's going really well because the media is suggesting that everything's going very well and it's the time to get in, and you hear everybody speaking about how well they're doing, as opposed to when everything is not doing very well and sour and correction after a correction. It's difficult to know that you should be making investment choices because the point of maximum financial opportunity is in a down market, right? So again, a financial planner can help you understand the opportunities that exist in a down market so that you can maximize your opportunities. At SISIP, okay, we can help you, guide you through that process. We have tools that once I understand your goals and I understand your comfort level, your experiences with investments, I will work with you and help you achieve your goals. I can work through transfer values, I can do the calculations, I can do the tax planning, and happy to help. The concept, saving money is financial freedom. If you tuck money away, it just gives you more choice. We have programs, savings plans that can actually be set up as a pay allotment. We have an expert team of financial consultants, if you will, that can give you expert money management. This Canadian Armed Forces Savings Plan, you set it up as a pay allotment, and it forces, every time you get paid, money into a savings plan, right? This is a fantastic program because it creates a habit of savings, right? So that's something we do as well. In terms of other offerings that SISIP has, you can take a look there. Again, we have the CAF savings program, SISIP travel insurance. We have a fantastic website with a wealth of information. Our mutual funds are provided through Fundex Investments, Inc. I can also offer Manulife Bank products. Okay. And please remember, you know, we exist to help you with your financial health. So there's our website and just the mutual funds disclaimer. So go back to here. All right, I went through that probably faster than I should have. Are there any general questions or anything you want me to go back to?
What a phenomenal presentation, Carolyn. It's nice that you have the goal-oriented and that each person will be different. The taxes is confusing to me when you never know what your tax rate is going to be.
But it's confusing just because you're not just familiar with it, but it actually is quite easy. I mean, it's just once we understand your taxable income, I have a calculator and I can help you understand exactly what your take-home pay is. So it's just taxes in itself can be confusing, but that's one of the pieces of advice I actually find is a huge value add to the members I release with, because they don't understand the different tax consequences. I may have someone that is getting a transfer value in Nova Scotia, and I know they're going to live in British Columbia. That's a huge difference in terms of marginal tax rate. And the beauty of the transfer value in terms of timing is you have a full year to accept that. So, you know, part of a recommendation potentially is, well, wait, you'll be in British Columbia by the time the money lands because you're planning to move there. And just that little piece of advice can save them tens of thousands of dollars in tax.
Fantastic. Right. Carolyn, would you be okay if I asked the participants to write their comments or questions on the board?
Sure.
All right, so if you want to take your big, thick blue arrow on the top left-hand side of the screen and just claim a white spot somewhere on this slide. So your big, thick arrow, just like mine, it's the top left-hand side. You click on it there and click somewhere on the board. There you go. And there's David and Diane's, there's Pam's. Make yourself some room. And just write a few points of which you, either comments from Carolyn's presentation or thoughts or questions if you have any. And I'll give you about 2 minutes to do that. So I see Pam up there. I saw Dave a minute ago.
Dave came and left.
Valerie and Michelle, if you want to put up your pointer and just write maybe a comment or two, I'll give you guys a minute to do that. And if you have any questions about where the pointer is, just let me know. It's on the top left-hand side of your screen. To the right of the big thick T, of the big letter T. So Michelle asked if the slides in this audio presentation will be made available after the call, Carolyn.
I don't know, Margaret. Or I think I read something that we do, but yeah, I'm not sure, Margaret.
The recording will be available. Are you okay if we share these slides?
We'll check with Christian. I think it's fine. I mean, my apologies for not knowing, but we'll check with Christian.
Very good. Okay, we'll check with Christian on that one, Michelle. Thank you. But certainly the recording will be available. I hear somebody clicking. Okay, here's a great question here, Carolyn. From Michelle, it's my understanding that for OAS, the following statement is valid. Those born between April 1st, 1958 and January 62 will be eligible to collect between 65 and 67. I don't understand that question, do you?
Well, it just deals with the birthday. Like I'm born in 61 in August, so I will get mine just a little bit before I'm 67, right?
Okay. Does that answer your question, Michelle? Give us a green check if it does. And great. David and Diane, did you have a question? You're muted, don't forget.
I'm muted, but I put a question on the board. I don't know why you can't see it.
Oh, just click away somewhere on the board so then we can see it. So just move your mouse somewhere on the board and click away, and then we should be able to see it.
We did still not.
Okay. What is the question?
The question is, what's the approximate cost of hiring SISIP as your financial advisor?
The great news is, David, there is no fee, okay, for our subscription as of May 1st, 2015. Okay,
so does that mean that you don't even charge if there's any portion or percentage? There's no fee.
Okay, so it's a no fee subscription. You do have to sign a letter of engagement, as I said. The application you do have to sign as a financial planning client, but there is no fee, no tax subscription. So as of May 1st, 2015, you can work with a planner at SISIP Financial, choosing our investment products, and there is no fee.
Wow, that's a great service.
Well, I guess and this is what we were chatting about before, is we have great product on our shelf, okay? Now, quite often a mutual fund recommendation is part of the solution. In a mutual fund, there is a management expense ratio. So if we chose, Fidelity, Mackenzie, Invesco, whoever we chose, there's always that management expense ratio. There is a fee for those mutual funds, okay? That is a fee that you can't, that's for the fund managers, right? Mm-hmm. In there is a trailer fee, okay? That trailer fee inside the management expense ratio goes to SISIP Financial, okay? It doesn't go to us specifically as planners. We're salaried. It goes to SISIP Financial to run our services and offer the 21 locations across Canada. So does that help, Dave?
That definitely helps. However, I'm in PEI, Charlottetown, Prince Edward Island, and there's no SISIP personnel.
Ah, they do it virtually now, Dave.
What am I expected to do?
Well, I'm thinking that
let's get back. I can get back to you on that one, Dave. I can check with Christiane. We can check with Christiane, but I'm pretty sure they're starting to do virtual counseling sessions now.
Okay, you check on that and give me an answer. It would be greatly appreciated.
Yeah, and I don't know if we have. I don't know how that is, Margaret, right now. So we are. Dave, thanks for your question. We are always, we've been expanding our services and things like that, and it's great to know that, there's the interest there in PEI for sure.
We'll get back to you on that one. Another question we have here from Michelle. Do you know if military pension changes for spouses if the former member dies after retirement? And if it's a personal question, you can say that's a personal question. So,
there's survivor benefits to the CF pension, for sure.
Okay. And Valerie also had a question. We do our things on the phone and via emails with our SISIP person in Ottawa, and we live outside of Canada. So there you go. I knew I'd heard that somewhere, David.
Yeah. Now, in terms of, Michelle, the pension amount changes, it decreases.
Does that answer your question, Michelle? Are you reading that, Carolyn?
No, I can't. I don't know where that
So it is my understanding that for OAS, the following statement is valid. Just one second now. I missed you here. I missed a question, I think, here. Just one second. I'm just scrolling up. Okay, Michelle. That would affect decisions about planning long term. So I missed that question, the last question that you had. Can you put the question back into all participants, Michelle, for us? Okay. And Dave, did you have another question?
Oh, I'm good, thanks.
So that would affect decisions about planning long-term, referring to death of a spouse.
For sure. And then what we, in terms of that, we do an insurance needs analysis, right? So if you're taking a look at, you know, you're enjoying a pension and the spouse passes at a certain time, if you're getting only 50% of that pension, that certainly affects planning, right? So how do you make up that 50% of loss of pension? Do you have insurance, right? Do you have personal assets, right? But if a spouse passes and he's the one or she's the one with the pension, you do not get the 100%, for sure. And that is exactly what you have to, that's a huge planning concern. How old are you? Sorry?
Oh, sorry, go ahead. I was just wondering if you could work with the spouse, or if it's only the military member that gets the service of the counseling.
I work with widows, like if the member has passed. So.
Thank you. Did you have another question for Michelle, Carolyn?
No.
Okay, good. So Valerie, Michelle, David, Pam, thank you so much for coming. Any more questions in your thoughts? Give us a green check if you're good. Just in the chat, if you could put one point that you remember from the session today. One point that hit home. Bridge benefit. To me, it was goal. What did you call yourself? A goal counselor, right?
I'm a goal-based planner. Yeah. I'd really focus on the members' goals, right? Because all of these choices and all of these, you know, packages that are coming, you want to take a look at understanding your client's individual goals and then taking the packaging, understanding all the rules around these choices, and implement their choices to achieve the goals, right?
Yeah. So Valerie appreciated the email address from the pension entitlements on release, and Michelle appreciated the bridge benefit. Wonderful. Well, thank you so much. We appreciate you coming out tonight. Is there anything else? If there's nothing else for Carolyn, we're going to be on for a little bit longer if you have any questions for us. Otherwise, you can click on the red X. And thank you so much for coming out. Oh, the red X, sorry, at the top of your screen. That will let you out, Michelle. Top of your screen. And we hope to see you at some of the other SISIP workshops coming up on taxes and on mortgages and about your credit rating. Why is it and why does it matter? You're welcome, Valerie. It's a pleasure to see you here. Thanks again. Go swim in the ocean for me. I love that ocean. Good evening. Thanks, Dave
Carolyn,
and Diane.
Hello?
You're welcome. Oh, thank you.
I just want to say thank you to Carolyn. It was very informative. I'm about to be released shortly, so the information comes in quite handy.
Yeah, and Margaret's going to take a look at what services we can offer in PEI. And if Margaret has your email address.
She does.
She does, and then we can just kind of close that loop. Yeah. I'm not 100% sure of the circumstances, but we'll close the loop with you for sure.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
All right, bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
And
See you,
Pam,
Margaret.
see you later, Diane.
See ya.
And Pam from Kingston, are you still on the phone? All right, so.
Yeah. We're good.
So I'm going to find out whether, yeah, I'll check with Christiane. Okay, so I'm just going to stop the recording here.
So everybody's off?